Throughout today's webinar, we will hear from RHI staff. I'd like to pass it along first to Angie LaFlamme. Thanks for joining us, Angie, and I will now turn it over to you.
Thanks, Kiona, and welcome everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Angie LaFlamme, and I'm a program specialist and one of the TA providers here at RHI. And we're really pleased to have you all with us today. Cap, Shannon, and I are excited to talk to you about what it means to be sustainable and explore how to actively plan for network sustainability. Similar to your other grant deliverables, we've developed a project sustainability action plan toolkit, and we'll walk you through that as well as share with you a new tool we've created to assist you with your sustainability planning. So Kiana, we can go to the slides. So our objectives today, for today's webinar, is we will discover the major components of action plans or of an action plan for sustainability. We will explore the Rural Health Network Sustainability Assessment within the Network Sustainability Toolkit, as well as learn how to prepare your own sustainability action plan. So via the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation funding, a literature review and synthesis of 19 imperial studies of American and Canadian health-related programs was done and determined the common understanding of sustainability was achieving outcomes and maintaining the ability to continue activities over time. This is the definition that we've incorporated into our work here at RHI. One thing to note about this definition is that it does not include any one aspect of an organization. Rather, it assumes a broad definition that encapsulates the whole organization. What this means is that the definition rests on a foundational concept that sustainability is attainable through a systems approach, always considering interactions between the many moving parts of an organization. So there's a lot at stake if our healthcare organizations are not able to adapt to the changing healthcare environment. And we know from our own work and experiences that rural health networks are one of those solutions. Networks that are sustainable, healthy, and strong have that ability to transform. But sustainability doesn't happen automatically. It has to be intentional. And the Project Sustainability Action Plan Toolkit involves assessing your network on each of the 7 characteristics of a sustainable network, identifying your most important opportunities for improvement, and then creating a plan to address each of those opportunities. So the key to sustainability is understanding how all of the different parts of an organization interact with each other. And to understand those interactions, we need to be systems thinkers and utilize frameworks to help us see how this all fits together. So thinking about it from this perspective, our circulatory system is one of our body's many systems, and I think it's a nice example of a systems framework. So in order for a body to function, it needs a steady supply of blood being moved through the heart, through the lungs, through the organs, and to each and every cell. And when an artery or vein becomes clogged, blood cannot flow effectively or efficiently. Therefore, our body's other systems won't function properly, which can then lead to unsustainable conditions. And a systems approach to sustainability fits perfect with the tried and true Baldrige Performance Excellence framework that teaches us all that teaches us that all of the systems need to be interacting all of the time. Therefore, your project sustainability action plan will include strategic systems, marketing systems, operational systems, and financial systems. And these are all different plans that you've worked on over the course of your grant period. So the system approach has influenced RHI Sustainability Action Plan Toolkit design, as well as our Rural Health Network Sustainability Assessment that Cap's going to be introducing to you in just a bit. So in preparation for creating your Sustainability Action Plan, you're going to need to gather your project's existing plans. So your strategic plan, your evaluation, marketing, and business plan, and then also a financial plan if your network has one separate than the one created in your business plan. And remember that all of these plans fit into a system approach I just described, and they'll serve as a reference for you when you're developing your sustainability plans. So there's 3 phases in creating a project sustainability action plan. Phase 1 is the organizational profile. And this section includes key information about the systems of your network and prepares you for completing phase 2 by bringing all of your project systems into focus. Phase 2 is the sustainability assessment, and completing this sustainability assessment will help you and your network identify the specific areas that you can focus on and invest time into to increase its probability for being sustainable over time. The assessment includes questions tied to each of the 7 characteristics of a sustained network, and they'll help you consider your network as a whole and identify various opportunities for sustainability. Phase 3 is the opportunity for sustainability action plan. And this section is where you'll add your network sustainability assessment results. You'll select your opportunities for sustainability and create your opportunity for sustainability action plans as well as your dashboard. It also outlines how your network will address those selected opportunities for improvement and provides insights on improving sustainability over time. So back to the organizational profile, excuse me, this is the starting point for you as a network leader. This is going to help you understand the systems of your network by immersing you in the interacting systems of your network or your project. The profile summarizes elements from existing plans, such as your strategic, evaluation, marketing, and business plans. The components of the organizational profile or project profile include strategy and leadership, marketing and communication, operations and infrastructure, and financial outlook. So you can see that this section, this is where it will be helpful for you to have all of your plans on hand so that you can refer to those. The network overview will include, it'll have a place for you to include your network name, the name of your project, and also your mission and your vision. And those are all things that can be found in your strategic plan. The strategic thinking section is next, and this is where you will share your environment analysis along with its blocks and levers, your project goals, and your strategic objectives. And again, these elements can also be found in your strategic plans. The next section would be the marketing thinking, and it includes members and customers. This is where you'll list your target markets, your member needs, also your competitors, the marketing goals, your products and services, as well as your key messages. And if you remember that these elements will be found in either your marketing plan or the business plan that you just submitted. The next section is the operational review, and elements from this are found in several of your plans, your business plan, your marketing plan, and also your evaluation plan. And the elements that you'll describe in this section are leadership skills, key initiatives, the desired experience or relationship that you think or that you want your members to have, delivery, the key resources and infrastructure, who are your key partners, and then also your key measures. And the final element in this section is the organizational or project profile of the organizational project profile, is the financial outlook. And this information can be found in your business plan. And if you'll remember, for your business plan, you did some scenario or pro forma work for at least 2 products or services. And the financial outlook section in your profile you will use for the forecasted net income from the best case scenario for these products and services. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the Rural Health Network Sustainability Assessment, and I'm going to turn that over to Cap.
Thanks, Angie. I'm so glad to be here talking with everybody about our network sustainability assessment. So you have the inner workings, the systems of your network, freshly considered and clear in your mind as Angie has been walking you through that organizational or project profile. So at this point of your work, it will be time to move on to phase 2. This is the part where we describe the sustainability assessment. Just like the systems within our own bodies, all systems need to work on their own, and they all need to interact for our bodies to function, as Angie was describing. Likewise, the systems of your networks and projects all need to work on their own and also interact. And it is in these interactions that our systems, that our networks and our projects can be sustained. As Angie mentioned, that really truly is the basis of this guide that we have put together. In phase 2, we have created a set of questions that act as a tool, like a strengths and gap analysis tool, to identify what is going well and where there are opportunities for improvement that would help your network or project aim itself towards sustainability. So I'm going to spend the next few minutes introducing you to the sustainability assessment itself, providing a bit of background on how the assessment was developed, and then how to access and complete the assessment for your action planning work. With a bit of history, in 2014, RHI partnered first with the National Cooperative of Health Networks, NCHN, because both organizations support network leaders, providing various forms of technical assistance. We knew that gaining a better understanding of network sustainability would help us provide better TA and support our visions of improving health in rural communities through robust rural health networks. We then partnered with an evaluator, Dr. Gwen Martin of Evalytics, to provide the analysis expertise we needed to move our list of questions from simply a list of questions to a validated assessment that we could rely on to gather data that would be meaningful and useful. The study that we developed and implemented between 2015 and 2017 included over 100 rural health networks. The 2 primary purposes of the original study were to develop a valid and reliable instrument and assessment that would help network leaders identify and also focus on areas that could be improved. And secondly, to identify conceptual network characteristics that give us a common language to describe the different ways that organizations do their work while they achieve their goals and continue those activities over time. And so why these 2 purposes? Well, both of them help networks move towards sustainability by giving them a method to measure progress, providing a tool for finding specific opportunities for improvement, and identifying ideas and concepts with a shared language for thinking and innovating and implementing improvements. Because the network sustainability assessment was developed with direct input from rural networks, many of you, in fact, provided data for this study. It was validated through a statistical process, so you can be confident using this assessment as a performance improvement tool. The results of the assessment identify specific activities to focus on for improvement and offer insights on how the systems of your network are working together. So let's dive into some of the details of the assessment and give you a preview. The 7 common characteristics of a thriving network include collaborative leadership, member-driven decisions, effective communication, change-ready and adaptable workforce, continuous improvement, ongoing evaluation and measurement, and sound financial infrastructure. These characteristics, identified through that 2-year study I was mentioning that included sustained networks as the data sources, provide structure to our assessment. The characteristics were defined through the attributes and activities of all of those participating rural health networks. The characteristics describe the critical components of networks that are key to successfully meeting their goals over time. The study itself identified 5 characteristics, and based on Baldrige Performance Excellence criteria, we've added 2 more. We did this because we wanted to ensure that all the Baldrige criteria were represented within our framework. You'll find a more detailed description of each of these characteristics on our online Network Sustainability Toolkit. I encourage you to take time to acquaint yourself with these before you take the assessment. It will help you understand how the assessment is organized and what the group of questions are designed to assess. So with that brief background of the assessment itself, let's make sure you know where to find it and getting back to your guide for your sustainability action plan. As we've mentioned earlier, phase 2 in developing your action plans is to complete the assessment. It's an online assessment, and pictured here is another view of our online landing page. The link to this page is included within the phase 2 section of your guide on page 13. And the link to this assessment is also easy to find when you're on our website. Simply search for Network Sustainability Toolkit, and you will land on this page. When you're on this page, simply click on the Complete Assessment button, and you'll have access to our assessment. This is an image of what that assessment looks like. It's organized by the 7 characteristics, and within each section, there are several questions, with a total of 32 questions, plus a few additional ones requesting demographic information about your project. We've used a 7-point Likert scale to encourage you to tease apart your perceptions and assessment of making progress towards implementation of the specific activities. Strongly agree identifies your assessment that the specific activity is fully or 100% implemented or executed. And on the other end of the scale, strongly disagree describes your assessment there has been no activity or 0% progress toward the implementation or execution of the activity. As an example, on this page, the very first question in the assessment is, network leader is aware of regional and national healthcare trends that could impact network members. That's the question. So do you strongly agree for your network that this is fully engaged and 100% executed? Or do you strongly disagree that there's been no activity towards this, there's been no progress towards this activity? Or are you somewhere in between? I have one important note to highlight for when you are completing the assessment. You're encouraged to answer the questions from the perspective of your network as a whole organization, not from the perspective of only your project. This is different than what we are asking you to do when developing phase 1, your project profile, or for phase 3, writing your project opportunity action plans. The reason for this is that although the grant deliverable sustainability action plan is for your project, the assessment itself was designed to be answered from the perspective of your organization. I am, however, really confident that you will be able to shift your thinking from project to organization and back to project as you work through this guide. The results from your assessment will be informative and provide you with important insights as you refocus on your project in developing specific action plans, with the goal of moving your project and therefore your organization toward sustained activity. Upon completion of the assessment, you will be taken to your very own results page. On this page, your total aggregated score will be posted, along with the sum total for each of the 7 assessment characteristics. These results are shown on the slide here with the orange arrows. A couple of highlights about this page. This page is created just for you and includes the assessment results of the assessment that you just completed. It is a private URL link, and you won't find it through a search. However, you will receive an email that includes the URL for your page. And the results page will not go away. It will continue to be available to you over time. We encourage you to share the results with other stakeholders as you continue into phase 3 of developing your action plans. I also want to highlight that you're not limited to the number of times that you take this assessment. Each time you complete the assessment, you will be provided with a unique results page and a URL for that page. So there's one issue that I also need to disclose. As of today, we have a timing issue going on. That is, we are still developing the capability of this page to show the detailed results, the results for each question within the assessment. The detailed results will be available within your results page by the end of September, or maybe before. We just can't commit to that. So by the end of September. And the good news is that for any assessment completed prior to this new capability of seeing the detailed results, your page will be updated with the new programming so that all of the detailed results will be available for any assessment completed at any time. So if you take your assessment today and you receive your results page, and it does not include the detail, if you go back to that same URL, your own unique results page, later on in the month, your detail will be there for you. So with your results in hand, you have completed phase 2 of the Network Sustainability Action Plan Guide, and you're ready for phase 3. I'll now pass over to Shannon to walk you through the last phase of this guide.
Thanks, Cap, and hi, everybody. It's great to talk to you this afternoon. So as Cap mentioned, once you've completed your assessment, it's time to move on to phase 3, which is action planning. And this is where the real work begins and some of the deeper thinking. During the action planning phase, you'll review your detailed assessment results, at which, as Cap mentioned, will be available to you by the end of September and possibly earlier. Identify your 3 highest priority opportunities for sustainability, which you'll sometimes see in the guide abbreviated as OFS. And you'll design an action plan around each of the 3 opportunities for sustainability that you've identified as most critical for your project. So let's look at each of these steps in a little bit more detail. The first step is to take a look at your network's assessment results. As Cap mentioned, you'll see a percentage score for each network characteristic, and we've provided a space in the template for you to record the results under each of the characteristics. And after you look at the high-level results, it's time to dig a little bit deeper and look at responses to individual questions. So to find potential opportunities for sustainability, take a look at the questions that you rated as slightly disagree, or strongly disagree. So those from the more of the negative side of the scale, and pull those out of your assessment results. We're asking you to pick 3 of these to address via an action plan. And we recommend working with your network staff, with board members, possibly some stakeholders, to choose the 3 that are most critical to the success of your HRSA-funded project. So as Kat mentioned, you'll be taking the sustainability assessment, thinking about your network overall, and then when you get into action planning, really zeroing in on the things that are most critical to the success of your project. And in Appendix A of the guide, we've provided some discussion questions that you can use as you lead the conversations to choose your 3 top priority opportunities to address in your action plan. And some of those questions are on the screen here. So you can be asking the group things like, what kinds of questions surprised you? Which ones make sense that you were kind of already expecting? Which ones, if left addressed, may have some long-term impact? Are there any themes that we see? So there's some really good questions that you can use as you have these discussions with your groups. Once you've determined the 3 opportunities for sustainability, you can record them in this chart that's found in your template. And so what happens here is you list the 3 selected opportunities for sustainability in the first column. You can see space for the selected OFS. In the middle column, you record the network characteristic that opportunity for sustainability came from. So those big buckets that were in the diagram earlier, so things like collaborative leadership, member-driven decisions, and so forth. And then in the far right column is where you record your network's answer to the question, whether it was slightly disagree, or strongly disagree. And then we'd like you to tell us the process that you went through to determine your 3 opportunities. How did you and your group come to the conclusion that these were your top priorities? Once that part is done, you're ready to start writing your action plans. So these action plans are internal documents for network leaders to focus their initiatives and decide where to invest resources. Network staff might use the action plans to implement the identified improvements, and board members might use them to better understand the project's opportunities for sustainability, and as board members do, to provide some input and provide support as the action plan is carried out. On the template, you can see that the first section lists the opportunity for sustainability, the network characteristic it came from, and what success looks like when your action plan has been completed. So how do you know you're done? What does success look like? There are also spaces to list the action steps to be taken over the next 6 to 12 months to address the opportunity, who is responsible for implementing them, and a timeline for each. This should look fairly familiar to you because this type of format, what is the step, who's responsible, and what's the timeline, shows up on a lot of the plans that you've done already for your project. So remember that your results report will also include links to resources related to each of these characteristics that we're measuring. And these resources include a lot of recommended steps that you can take to address each one. As you're completing this section, these links that come in along with your results might be a really good resource for you. There's also space for you to think through any resources needed, like time, talent, financial resources, technology, that you need to accomplish the action steps that you've identified. As well as any plans for monitoring and communicating progress, and finally, the output for each step. How will you know that step is complete? And then this process gets repeated for the other 2 opportunities for sustainability. So as we said before, your plan will have a total of 3 action plans, 1 for each of your selected opportunities for sustainability. We know that dashboards are quick snapshots of your work, and we've provided a dashboard for you to quickly see and show to others an overview of all 3 action plans. So you see the columns here, the opportunity for sustainability in the far left, your 3 most important action steps that you're going to take related to each one of those opportunities. There's space to put timeline, the start and end dates, and to record the status, just to give when you're giving folks a status update. Sustainability of any organization is important, and because of the critical role that networks play in improving the health of rural communities and the complex environment in which networks operate, which you're all well aware of, it's even more important to take a systematic approach to sustainability, one that's built from a proven model, the Baldrige model, which we've talked about earlier in this webinar, and from data gathered from rural health networks themselves, as Kat mentioned. This whole process and the guide and other tools that go along with it was created with all of this in mind. So just a quick recap. This guide is meant to help your network determine ways to strengthen your network. Phase 1 is all about understanding the systems of your network. Phase 2 is about using an assessment tool to identify opportunities for sustainability, those things that you and the rest of your stakeholder group identify as most critical to the success of your project. And Phase 3 provides you with a process and some templates to develop action plans to help increase the effectiveness and therefore the sustainability of your project. A lot of you may know this already, but just to reiterate, the Sustainability Action Plan is due in EHB on December 31st, which feels like a long way away right now, but I'm sure we all know it's going to come fast. And we've got a lot of time to open it up for questions. So you can put your question in the chat box, or you can star 2 to unmute yourself and ask it via audio. Here we go, we've got a question coming in. Is the survey completed by one person or multiple members of the network? Cap, would you like to answer that question?
Sure. Thanks, Laura, for that question. And it really is up to you all to decide that. It can be accomplished by one or multiple folks. I think, Laura, it will depend on kind of how you all go about doing your business when you want to get understanding and gain input on how your organization is run. I do think, though, that as network leaders, you probably have some good insights since you've moved along as far as you have through all of the planning steps, and in particular, the last business planning effort. So the short answer is it's up to you. The long answer is I think you can do it yourself, given your insights, but it's awesome if you get some other input.
Thanks, Cap.
No, as a follow-up question, the link is only one link per computer. Great, you're welcome.
What other questions do you have?
I'm going to anticipate one is if the results will come in a printable format, and when we have the detail programming completed and part of the results page, there'll be a button for printing the results. It's not in a beautiful PDF, but it will be in a screenshot format at this point, but it will provide you with the opportunity to print the detailed results of the question.
It looks like we may have a question coming in from Lise. So Lise will give you a minute to type. And while Lise is typing, I'll just say that we know that you're all still just recovering from your PIMS report and your business plan submission. And so as you get into your sustainability plan, if questions come up, please feel free to contact us at RHI anytime. That's what we're here for.
I think I can answer Lee's question as well, is if multiple members complete the assessment, which is totally fine, you'll get a unique URL or a unique results page for each of the completed assessments, but it would be up to you all to do the aggregation and averaging, so to speak, manually, that the results page won't do it for you.
Lise, I know you and I spoke a couple of weeks ago about the possibility of getting the assessment questions to you via PDF or some other format so that you could maybe have a discussion with your stakeholder group before you go in. And that if
any of you are really interested in getting input from multiple people before you take the assessment, that might be an option. If you get a hold of your primary TA contact here at RHI, we can make that happen.
Yes, actually, we do have the assessment in a document, so we could actually provide that as part of the upload as well with the webinar.
Perfect. That would be great. Thanks, Kat.
Yep.
Okay, well, I'm going to turn things over to Kiona to get us wrapped up.
Perfect. Thank you guys, and thanks for that great information. I'm going to switch the layout here. So the recording of today's webinar will be posted to our resource library by the end of the day tomorrow. Please look for an email from the Network TA team that will provide that link. Before you close out of the webinar, we ask that you please take a couple of minutes to complete the assessment questions you see on the screen. Just as a quick few TA reminders that we have coming up in a few weeks on September 10th, we have our upcoming IBH cohort call. Beginning the week of September 9th, the last round of TA check-in calls will begin. So if there's any chance that you need to reschedule, please reach out to your TA specialist at the earliest convenience so that we can reschedule those before the month of October. We also have our last technology cohort call on September 12th, and then the final clinical care coordination cohort call on September 19th. As always, we encourage you to reach out to us at RHI with any TA questions you may have. Thank you again to all for your participation. Have a great rest of the day, and we look forward to talking with you soon.